Hi, and thanks for joining us on this fine day. I hope you're having a good one. This is obviously a very new channel, as you can tell, with this being the very first video. So thanks again for taking time out of your busy day and spending it with me. I just wanted to run through my process while I was illustrating the book, Mortimer Goes with the Flow, coming out through Pisces Rising Press. Reality is it's probably already out by the time you see this video, so should be a link in the description if you are interested in seeing the final results. Basically what I decided to do with this book was to use a combination of digital and traditional techniques. I'm a very firm believer that pulling from old and new in terms of technique will always yield the best results. Anytime you have something that mimics a physical art such as watercolor or oil or pretty much any artistic discipline, and you try to recreate that digitally, it always comes off as a bit too refined. What I did with the book was start off with an almost illegible pencil drawing on newsprint. I always love working first on newsprint, mainly because there's no pressure at all to turn that piece of paper into anything more than a fish wrap. It seems the lower the quality of paper in front of me, the better I draw. I'm just more relaxed when the paper isn't as precious, right? I always tell my friends, if you want me to have a completely blank sketchbook, then buy me a moleskin. It's so hard to put the first line down on one of those. I mean, they're so monumental, they're so well made. The paper, it was a lot better years ago. I remember those. I remember when they sort of got really, really popular, and all of a sudden the paper kind of changed. But they're still pretty good, gotta say. Anyway, as I was saying, so here we go. We're going to be, just dropping in color, not really being too precise with it, and cutting out the color from the transparent layer. I came up with a bunch of watercolor swatches. Came across some pretty bad watercolor paper, and as you can tell by looking at some of these, it's not the best quality, but I thought it was just so great with the texture. I thought the textures of that paper were so on point of what I wanted to do that I used them. And so what I did was I literally came up with colors, had a color scheme in mind, and I created these big blotches all over each page. And I scanned them in at 600 dpi. And also, since I imported them into Photoshop, I knew that I'd be able to change the actual color of them. That's obviously a huge thing. It's a great benefit for at least working digitally is that, sometimes you come across things and you're like, I don't know if that's really the right shade or if that's the right hue, and you can tweak with it. You can completely replace the color, and that's great. And you retain the texture. You retain exactly what it was. I do a lot of preliminary loose sketches on newsprint, and what that does, for me at least, is that it does two things. One, it shakes the cobwebs loose. You can actually just sit there because there is no pressure on you to do something incredible on this really flimsy piece of paper. You can try new things out, you can experiment. Even if it is so ridiculous, then it will trigger off other things, and those other things tend to really stick around for a lot longer. They have a lot more longevity to them, and then you can develop that from there. And the second thing that it does is that it actually warms you up. Drawing is no different than anything else that requires strength building, and maybe one of the biggest secrets out there, in all honesty, because nobody ever really talks about it. A lot of people tell you to just draw all the time. That's absolutely no help unless they say, because the more you draw, the more you will physically feel in control of your drawings. That's really the biggest thing. I know when I was starting to put in the time with illustration and drawings, I was actually able to start creating lines that I could imagine in my head. That was the biggest thing. I mean, there's so many times, you sit at a piece of paper, you know what you want to do, but you can't do it. You physically just can't. Like, your lines are wobbly, or you just overshoot or undershoot a curve, and then you bleed into another line. It's just ridiculous. And all of that is that you haven't built up the strength in your arm yet. And now, arm is different than your hand. You have to learn to draw from the shoulder, use your whole arm, be loose. The real ability to draw and sit there like your favorite illustrators that can sit there day after day, hour after hour, they have developed a way to actually physically do it, and that is that they learn to draw from the shoulder. One thing that I definitely kept in mind was keeping this one particular green swatch as is. And that's his color. It's Mortimer's color was green. I had obviously experimented with a lot of different colors. Maybe he was going to be a red fish, maybe he'd be purple. But there was something about the green that I just really liked. So for the waves or the current, I used a French curve and laid that right down on my digital tablet. And I traced one, and then I replicated it several times. Again, going back to the benefits of Photoshop, I was able to adjust the stroke of it, turn it from black to white, and just having the ability and the latitude to make adjustments that ordinarily would cause you to literally redraw something if it was 100% traditional technique. Anyway, here you go. This is it. Definitely check the link out in the description if you want to see or purchase the final book. It is through Pisces Rising Press. I hope you had a good one. Talk to you later. Bye.